Good afternoon, everybody. It's kind of late to be sending a video. I guess I could have gone home and shaved first, maybe for each of you, but hopefully it's not offensive. Wanted to bring you up to date. We have not had an opportunity to formally put together a monthly sales meetings with each of you. And of course, that's videoed and Skyped, etc. We have actually just been too busy, as everyone can attest to. We've really had a great year thus far. It's not over. But I did want to go through a few highlights with you and kind of bring you up to date. As you know, Amy's out on family time, and so we missed this Wednesday. So I thought it might be appropriate to send something out and update each of you where we are and hopefully where we're going. First of all, the company is very busy, as I said. We're approximately $150 million in volume ahead of last year's pace. That probably would equate at year end, we think, to approximately a $450 million closing number for the company, which it's been a long time since we've been in the 450s, of course, and that was back in probably in the late 80s, if you want to do the math on that. That was a long time ago. October was still very good relative, and as we continue into the slower, so-called slower months, colder months, and now daylight savings, certainly our business is going to change. Fortunately for us, it hasn't changed that much. I want to give you a few numbers. Our current volume, slightly lower, but strong. The percentages of that, give you an example. October is numbers are 63% above of last year's 2018 numbers. So you can see a dramatic increase over last year at this time. Weekly applications still remain very strong. We use that as a great tool. We look at it every Monday for last week's applications. Certainly starts are not included in our data in terms of reporting it to you. It's not that important because of the inconsistencies of what finally moves to application and what basically goes away. It's a high number. It's an expensive number by virtue of what it costs us to open a file if it doesn't make it to app. So that hurts. As far as year to date is concerned, we're plus 38% for the year, October to October. Again, this year has been it's been special. It's been special for a lot of reasons. Certainly, the economy has given us a real opportunity. It's also given our competitors an opportunity to hang on a little bit longer in some cases. Some of them to take this opportunity to grow again. And when you put the refinance mix in there with it, it's allowed people to go back to where they came from, so to speak, which is refinances versus beating on our door with a cheaper rate, even though that still happens. Certainly, we see it every day. Competition still alive and well. The highlights I wanted to give you, this is always the fun part of our sales meetings. Kevin Ruby, being the big man that he is, has his best month since April of 2018. As you know, he does a lot of new construction, so a lot of his cycling in terms of inventory and completion of new construction, it takes time. And his numbers will be inconsistent, and he's very aware of that, and certainly working harder every day on third-party business because he would like to fill those gaps in, of course. Not a surprise, but a fantastic job by the Jason Woods team. They're back to their personal records, and actually a personal record for the DeSoto branch. That's our oldest branch in the company. It's approximately 31 years old. That sounds pretty old. It's older than a lot of people that work here, actually. They had their record month last month, October. $11.5 million closed. So that's quite a job, especially for the size staff that they have there. But quite honestly, very smooth. I heard very little from them, and they're doing a beautiful job, and I appreciate that, of course. All of us do. Jason Lowe, quietly in Oxford, Mississippi, a kind of a one-man band, as we call him. He's just not a one-hit wonder, as some people, but Jason's always been a big producer, and he's had 5 months in a row of $3 million plus, and as far as the Oxford branch, a couple of months above $6 million just by himself. So he's doing a great job. Kathy Villar, she's also back to having back-to-back $3 million months. $3 million is a lot, and each of you loan officers know that. It's very difficult to put $3 million together and keep it together, much less put something up that can get you through the month following. It's hard to back up big months. Celia Bowers, Angeloni, not sure what to call you, Celia, but you have been in this business 5 months as a loan officer, brand new to the industry, zero initial introduction to our industry. So congratulations on your first $1 million plus month as a loan officer, and I hope those continue. And based on as many times as I talk with you each day, I would say that probably will continue. You're hardworking. Chattanooga branch also jumping to old numbers like we used to see and certainly enjoy, and they're back in the plus $4 million per month range, and that's a combination of new people, additional people, and additional offices that we continue to operate with in that particular branch. Just a few notes before we finish up. As far as rates are concerned, they're flat as we see it. There's a lot of speculation on where they may go next. Me personally, I think it probably is a safe bet to say they're going to remain fairly flat through here. Economic data is already in the numbers. That's not really going to push it one way or the other unless they get really horrible. If they get better, it's not going to change much. Of course, the Fed has been on our side through this, and again, being sub 4% in most categories. As we know what 2018 and 17 look like, it's a gift, certainly. Don't expect them to stay sub 4% that long, but possibly into next year, as a lot of people are predicting. So let's hope that's the case. We will have subtle changes as we do each day. The last couple of days there's been a little pressure. Not bad, but you still have to be conscious of it and be careful with your quotes. You can get in a lot of trouble, get us in trouble with you if you leave something hanging out there very long. Having said that, you need to always look at what you're competing with. We certainly get a lot of cheaper, lower quotes thrown at us. That's pretty much daily. We see them, we need to evaluate them and make first sure that that the dates in which they were issued are current. A lot of times they're not. Sometimes they're really not rate quotes, as in a hard quote on a specific transaction or property. It's a generalized. We see it. We're starting to look at some of the other documentation that's associated with the rate quote, and we find verbiage in some of those that would suggest that it's indication of price. So we got to look at that, and certainly we'll be aggressive as possible in competing with some of this. Some of it obviously is it's so far out that we're not going to get there. We certainly in Memphis have several competitors. One in particular that has an extremely low entry rate each day, but we also know their commission or comp, LO comp schedule is a 0.50, so it allows them to do some things that obviously we can't do. It's affordable to do it that way, I guess, and it does produce volumes, no question about that. We've added several new LOs, loan officers, outside of the Memphis market, certainly Atlanta. We've got 2 full-time people there now. New person in Huntsville starting next week, and a second hire there, probably be in December. due to contract purposes, she has to wait. We have added a new LOA, which started this week here. We have another one under consideration, so we can hopefully stay pace with the loan officers and continuation of the volume that we're seeing currently. Aggressive recruiting certainly is something we're going to do all day, every day. It's pretty well mandated in our budget and growth plans. Of course, with all the Crye-like offices sitting out there that still need representation, the recruiting piece of this is years in the making. I would say it's very difficult, hard, especially when rates are this low and everybody's busy and certainly enjoying fat pipelines for the most case. So it's hard to get really quality people, and we're not going to settle unless we get good ones. So we'll go from there. As you well know, we made some changes to the underwriting structure. There's technically 4 underwriters available for underwriting. They take turns at the condition desk. If we need all 4 underwriting, they all 4 underwrite. The Andrea piece of this off-site is working well, seamless. We can't really tell any difference in her not being here on the premises, so that's working out well. And so we look to our volume, our continuation of volume, hopefully increasing our volume. That's the plan, and we will continue to evaluate the underwriting structure and maybe better ways, faster ways to do that. Behind the scenes, Mike and I are working on several different initiatives that might speed up all processes throughout the company, from the start of a new application all the way through. And so far, so good with that project. We're about 5 weeks into that. On the testing piece of it, there's one particular individual in the company that's under that program, and we're evaluating that each Friday, and having a lot of feedback with the sources that we're using to see if it might be some benefit to not only the LO, but certainly the LOA, the processing and underwriting group. So if we can speed things through, less touches, we're going to all be better off, I think, in the end. Finally, as far as the update is concerned, 2020 is going to bring some fairly profound changes, I think, both industry and there's some here at the company that will be put in place first of the year. As always, first of the year brings the date in which, if you're going to change things, that's when we do it. It's the most subtle time to do it, and probably the most appropriate time for a lot of you. But certainly all the structural changes that are made, or program changes, and program I'm talking about us each as individuals, and some of the things that we do, the help that we have, and certainly need in some cases. We may shift some things around to try to get a little bit better at what we do. As I said, faster, better is cheaper, of course, and we are a for-profit company, if you forgot or hadn't heard me say that lately. It's very important. So we go from there, and full speed ahead. Great job by everyone, of course. Not much I can really say to that other than thank you. It's been great to sit where I am most days. After 5, it's really great. But we will continue forward as a company, as a group. We're all very close to each other, as we all talk about, to the outside of this building. And I think that works very well for each of us, whether we like it or not. I tell people all the time, we never have a crossword inside the confines of this building, and so there you have it. I hope that's the case. Finally, wanted to touch base on a new program offering, something I've been promising for quite a while that I think will be good for you. Certainly you've been asking about it, and there's certainly some competitors out there already. This product is one of our top investors, and it is a non-interest QM, qualified mortgage product, so it will not be a Fannie Mae, it will not be a Freddie Mac, it will not be a traditional conventional loan as we like to think of it. The name of the program, or the identification to the program, is called Income Flex, F-L-E-X. And by the way, all of you will be getting written information on this. I just want to kind of give you a preview on it. It is the product that is the reduced documentation product that I've been talking about. I think about a week or two ago, there was some conversation about a program that Santi had put out. Totally different product. It's for ITN borrowers, people without documentation, foreign nationals, those types of individuals. But yes, it is a no doc in some ways, but doc not meaning income. We're talking more about legal status, passports, work visas, green cards, those type of things. This is totally a conventional product just for what we do. I'm talking about our normal day-to-day lending that we do. Fixed rate, fully amortizing, 30-year product. There is a 5/1 adjustable rate option to that. Typically, we don't see adjustables priced any differently much than the 30-year fixed, and we'll see. The available documentation type shall be certainly a full doc, but there's an appendix Q, which can't go into detail on, but there's an appendix that basically says it's actually full doc, but a reduced full doc. So that would be the most generic version of this. Number two, as we get into this, and it sounds better and looks better to you in some of your situations, there's also a 1-year tax return option. Certainly a lot of people like to rely on their tax return and not especially self-employed people. So their tax return, meaning once a year, will kind of identify whether they made money or they didn't. So as you have all experienced, the tax return or that type of structure could be utilized in various ways, as we know. Bank statement only. That's getting a little bit better. The last 12 months bank statements, that tells us that a person's making money because it's being deposited into their bank. They just cannot show that they're making money through whatever sources they make it. I'm not saying illegally. We're not talking about bookies probably, if you want to be funny. But a bank statement, 12 months personal, will be a nice little piece to this, I think, that you can use. Now, in some cases, people own their own company. They have a commingled bank account. So the next category would be bank statement only, 12 months business. Okay, so that's a little bit of deviation as we get deeper into the categories here. And then there's a final one. I'm not real sure what it means. Again, this is all new. It's just been rolled out about a week and a half. And that's a bank statement, 24 months business. So it could be a startup business, needed 24 months to establish, any kind of consistency within the bank accounts, and that way we could qualify them there. As far as highlights are concerned, available products are on a non-delegated basis. Obviously, that means just like our jumbos, they are sent out for underwriting. Of course they are. These are loans that we don't have a place to sell, except for this one particular investor. So they need to underwrite it. They need to approve it, and they will certainly buy it. We close it in our name, of course, but we got to have a place to sell those. The loan amounts are 0 to up to $2 million. So it would be the high-income people that play around with their tax returns or their income. So this would be a nice one-off product for those type of individuals. Loan to values can go as high as 90%. Don't get all crazy. These are limited in a lot of different ways. 90% is a particular portion of the program. Not all loans can go 90. There will be factors that limit that, and as you get the matrix, when I send it to you, you'll see what those categories are. Credit scores as low as 660. That's extremely low. So that can tell you right there, 660 probably can't get a 90% loan to value. You know, it's common sense in this particular case. A lot of people like to call that too much risk, so I would say the LTVs would be limited on the 660s. This product will also be eligible for primary, second home, and investor homes. Okay, that's pretty surprising as well. The investor home feature is very surprising. Purchase, rate term refinance, and cash out refis will also be used. So pretty much everything we have in a normal Fannie Freddie type structured loan, with exception of the reduced documentation. And finally, the rate structure is what you would expect, higher. And that rate range, I'm being told, and rate sheet's supposed to be out today with Amy out. I've got to wait to break that down and put it out to you. But from what I'm told, it's probably going to range between a low of 4.5, 30-year fixed, up to not greater than 6. By comparison, the Santi program that we mentioned, those are pretty well running 7.5 to 9%. So it's quite a different program. This particular program will be competitive in the 4.5, 5. I feel, especially as an alternative to individuals that cannot obtain a regular, standardized Fannie Freddie full doc type program. So we hope this is something each of you can use. I know we get calls about it from time to time. Something you certainly will be able to take to the streets and more specifically to the crawl-like agents. And I think with that format, we should be able to do some business with this. So, as I said, thank each of you for all that you've contributed. And by the way, there's been tremendous hours worked, overtime, weekends on your behalf, the LO's and the company's behalf, to get through these volume periods. When you're in the $60 million range, it's very difficult to get there. And with all the interruptions we have, agents moving, closing dates up, getting late starts on documentation, disclosures, et cetera, it's phenomenal that we could achieve it and get through it unscathed. But that's a tribute to you guys, and especially those, you know who you are, and the ones that worked tirelessly on Saturdays and Sundays. I had one individual tell me that she had not seen her daughter all summer, which is a high school kid, and as y'all each know, high school kids are off in the summer, and they really want to go do things, and Saturdays and Sundays included. And when mom is at work or dad, it's taking something out of the family, but they're contributing it back to each of us. So I'm very appreciative of that, and I would like to avoid that in the future. And it's certainly hard for us to predict what kind of volume we may see next and how we're equipped to handle that. But trust me, we certainly look at it, think about it, worry about it too. So again, sorry for the late afternoon video. Everybody enjoy the rest of their day and the rest of the week, and certainly finish strong. Thank you.